This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
A fabulous free kick from Leighton Baines. It's scored by Ted Cahill in injury time for Everton. Stunning from James Rodriguez. Here's Duncan Ferguson. Dawson, oh, what a finish from Greg Dawson. It's 2-0. And Ian Henderson, right on half-time.
Hello, welcome to It's Only a Game. Barcelona, Barnet, Bayern Munich, Birmingham, Bologna, Charlton, Celtic, Doncaster, Galatasaray, Napoli, Olympiacos, Port Vale, PSG, PSV Eindhoven, Sporting Portugal, Stuttgart, Sunderland, Union Saint-Gilloise, and many more who've had success this season. No birds on badges. Anyway, right, I'm Jimmy, and tonight we're joined by Matt first and foremost. Hello, Matt.
That seemed like a very annoyed intro. That seemed like an intro you've been planning all week with quite power in your voice.
Well, no, it's lunchtime today. Anyway, and we're special guest, West Brom fan, and more importantly, is Mark from Project Football.
It's definitely my second. You'd have to go back and look in the archives to see if it was my third. But either way, thank you for having us on.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Always good to have you on. Yeah, just on that intro, I have seen the Year of the Bird far too many times. A lot of birds out there, lads, and yet we're sat here. Yeah. But a good start. It would be very, very little notes to send out that thought for all of us. So we're looking at Liverpool.
Just glad to hear that, yes, there's injuries, but thankfully no fatalities. Yeah, we're gaining more of an idea, clearly, of what actually happened, and it sounds horrendous. I had mates over there, but thankfully nowhere near the incident, and, we're not really aware of it until a good hour after it actually kicked off. So thankfully they're okay, and I hope, best wishes and full recovery to anyone affected by it.
There's someone who my other half works with, and they went up to partake in what was meant to be celebrations, but when that sort of thing happens, you can't. I don't know about it leaves a sour taste. It takes all taste out of your mouth altogether. So hopefully everyone who's been impacted makes a full recovery on it.
1,000%.
Absolutely. But on a much more lighter note, let's discuss the Albion, Mark, if you wish.
I mean, so much for the Year of the Bird. Frustrating, I think, is probably the best way to put it. I could make a bunch of excuses like injuries, draws, but they're valid reasons, to be fair. We drew too many games. That was more so the fault of those that were on the pitch, because the ones that we've seen over the last few years, we know they're good enough to maybe not win the title or automatic promotion, but at least, cement a place in the top six in the playoff positions. Can't begrudge Carlos going back to his home club. The opportunity comes around. Who knows when it'd come again?
What a job he's done there, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
Nearly getting them into Europe from where they were dead and buried, weren't they, for a time, Valencia?
Yeah. Well, it's similar to what he did when he came in and took over from Bruce. I mean, we were bottom of the league after his first game. And I think we missed out on the playoffs. Might have been on the last day, maybe just before that, but it was very close. But he went with, I'd say, the majority of the fan base's well wishes. Was Mowbray the right choice? Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say. Football's moved on a lot since he was in charge the first time round. But he got the reception he deserved to start with. Did he deserve the sack? I don't know. I'm asking a lot of questions here, but not giving him any answers. But yeah, it was good to have him back. It didn't work out for him, but he gave it a go. But the ironic thing that I saw from it all was the two people who took charge either side of him, well, temporarily, Chris Brunt beforehand, James Morrison the other. He signed both of them for West Brom. So I don't know if that's happened before, where someone's had players that they've signed take over from them or not. But we haven't got the time to do that deeper dive into it.
I can't think of many off the top of my head, actually.
Technically, we had Baines and Coleman in charge.
Very much caretaker, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, be very niche, wouldn't
No,
it?
it's a very niche. I'm sure we can do a deep dive episode on that at some point. It feels very football cliches are very sweeper to do that. That is quite something.
If they were to do it, then we charge a small fee.
They go into all kinds of niche stuff. I thought you're always targeting to be up there.
Yeah, but the main thing is he come back and he was healthy after the health scare he got at Blues. But unfortunately, football moves on. It is, as with many sports these days, more of a business than a game, and the two weren't matching up. What was happening on the pitch didn't tie up to what the board wanted, and the trigger was pulled. So yeah, hopefully we get the next appointment right, and we can kick on for the following season. Fingers crossed.
3 names out there at the moment. I've not
You're
looked.
going to say the same thing. Any names out there? Just look to the future.
Probably no different to what was touted the first time around. The likes of, I think, someone that you're familiar with, Johnny Heitinger, former Everton player, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think isn't he on the coaching staff? I was going to say coaching staff under Slot.
Yeah.
Without looking at at the odds or anything, I couldn't really tell you any other names off the top of my
Have
head.
quick, see if I can find what the odds are. Give me 1 second.
There's the guy who's just left Ajax, isn't there as well? I don't know if he'd be
Farioli,
worth the punt.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's still going back to Spain, I think.
So the favourite at the moment is Ryan Mason at 1-2-1.
Yeah, wouldn't mind. Young,
And you got Eric Ramsey at 6-4. James Morrison to get on a permanent, it's 10-1. And then these are the outsiders: John Messino, Marty Cifuentes,
Cifuentes, the QPR.
QPR guy.
Russell Martin, and then you're into the Sean Dyche at 33-1.
He was banded around the first time round.
Steven Gerrard's in there. I mean, I really outside of Gareth Southgate at 33-1.
Oh God, no.
Could be a rogue one.
Other names: Leighton Baines at 33-1. Wayne Rooney. That's Poison Chalice. I
know you love him at Goodison, but
like him as a player.
Well,
awful manager.
That'd be a bad managerial appointment, granted. All things considered.
After his record with Birmingham and Plymouth, I wouldn't be going.
And Derby.
No.
And Derby as well. Sorry, of course.
United.
Yeah, not got a great record, has he?
Really? He's done, so it's not great.
Yeah, and again with Gerrard, nothing against him as a player because he was absolutely immense, but as a manager, he's been to the Villa as well, so
yeah,
that puts him off my list.
I suppose you're in the same link of then look what Lampard's done at Coventry, but I would argue 2 very different managers.
Yes.
Lampard's one of the managers, again, ex-Everton, so we know a bit about him. One of the few managers we sacked where I was actually genuinely not unhappy because we sacked him, but unhappy for him that he was sacked, if that makes sense. Yeah. Seems like a genuinely really nice guy, understood the whole concept of Everton, but just never really trying to get some of our...
then.
Well, I mean, trying to get some of our defenders playing out from the back was painful, put it that way. But yeah, I've done a good job at Coventry since and saying, only just didn't get through the playoff semis. Was it last minute, wasn't it? Sunderland goal.
It was literally the last 5 seconds of the game or something.
Yeah, I should know. I watched it, but it was literally last minute.
Maybe they're just throwing names and see what sticks.
Yeah, he's obviously gettable. He must be available for a place from Portsmouth, but he's obviously had a good job getting Portsmouth back into the Championship and then keeping them up. So it could be a natural stepping stone for him in his career.
He's there at 16-1. I wouldn't be sticking a tenner on it anytime soon. Put it that way. I think you're looking at about top 3.
No. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Darren Moore's name gets mentioned again.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, because Ryan Mason was interim at Spurs, wasn't he? Is he still at Spurs?
Yes.
Ryan Mason.
I think he's on the coaching staff. Could be wrong.
Is he under?
He definitely led them in the cup final that time when Mourinho got sacked like a few days before the League Cup final, and Ryan Mason led them against Guardiola City. Which
assistant coach at Spurs.
I say he's only about 33 as well.
He is, 33. So very young.
So, well, he had to retire through that head injury, didn't he?
Yeah,
was it played for Hull, wasn't he? And he got, was it Hull?
Hull against someone. Yeah, he was at Hull about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah. went down. It was a fractured skull, wasn't it? It was a really bad. Yeah,
really good
Yes.
player. Shame what happened there, but
got himself a career at Spurs doing well. Spurs doing well in Europe, not so much in the league. But there we go.
points out, by the way, and just got these comments post-match after they lost 4-1 home to Brighton on the last final at the end of the season because
What a trophy, though. To be fair to him, it takes a serious amount of balls to come out and say that I win things in my second season, finish 17th in the league, and yet stuck a Champions League football. Fair play.
Yeah.
I respect fair play to him because you can't fault him for doing that. And then he said, what was his quote after on the tour? They did a
Season 3 is always better than season 2.
season 3 is better than season 2. And the mad thing is, it'll probably come true. Probably win the league next season by a canter.
Yeah.
Or win the Champions League by some
imagine they get
hilarity.
relegated with the Champions League.
That would be funny. Wigan
League
vibes.
on the final day, they go
2012.
down at the Champions of Europe. Oh, no.
That was, yeah. I mean, I saw the highlights. I mean, Brighton are a very good side, hence why they finished was it 8th.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've been on the piss for 2 days since winning the Europa League. But I mean, God, yeah, they've been an interesting team this season, Spurs. But that final was so bad.
It was awful.
God, I was so bored. I watched it with a couple. I mean, my girlfriend's family, well, sorry, fiance's family, I should say, were all United fans. So they were like, "Yeah, come around and watch it." And I went, "All right, yeah, brilliant." And it got to the 70th minute, and I'm going, "Oh my God, this is just you kicking it at Mickey van der Ven for 70 minutes. This is so tedious." And you could tell United were never going to score. They could play for a week, they never scored. But yeah, it wasn't a great advert for the Premier League, put it that way.
Yeah, there's, the following morning, because there's a couple of dads that I see on the school run, both Spurs fans, randomly, been in the Black Country, but each to their own. And I saw the one, I just looked at him and says, "It was hardly a classic, was it?" And he was like, "No, but we won." So, you take the win, don't you?
Going on Spurs fans in Black Country, there's something I spotted yesterday, which was very strange. With the amount of Liverpool fans at Birmingham New Street Station, it was packed. And for the life of me, I can't work out why. Because it's not as if you're lacking clubs in that area to go and support.
Oh, no.
Crew Station being busy. All right, Crew Liverpool, pretty near. Was it half an hour, 40 minutes? Yeah, I did wonder if it was people connecting up from London or wherever else. The thing is, the bit I was... Because, this comes from a head of an Everton fan, but forget that for a second. I'm just using Liverpool as an example of something. If you were a local Red, like if we're from the Wirral, which is across the water, from the city, I wonder how you'd feel about that when there's talks of, I don't know, Christ knows how many fans are there. It must be upwards of 500,000 fans there yesterday. Is that would I like the fact that there's such a high amount of fans coming from London or from all these different places? I don't know, and it's a fear that if Everton ever get good, which is probably not going to happen, so it's not a worry I have to have too much. But if we ever did get successful, would that start to be a massive issue? That you've just got tons of fans coming from way outside your area with no real rhyme or reason for supporting your local. It's just very strange in my eyes.
I'd say worry about that if it happens.
Yeah, it's fine. I've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
I think genuinely, I don't think it matters. I don't think these days, especially with the globalization of the Premier League in particular, but also other leagues, people have NFL teams.
But that's what I mean. I'm not bringing. I'm not saying this is like the bloody Reds, them bloody foreign Reds. It's not what I just find it. I just find it really, really strange. As in, I don't get what the affinity would be, and I get the fact there's some people who might have grown up watching football in the 80s and 70s who've seen that, those Liverpool sides and have that connection. Yet, I just find it really, really odd how you.
What you've got to remember is all of us have got families that have got dads or grandparents or uncles that have watched football.
That's why I raised it. It wasn't a question of me. Again, I was trying to say, look, I'm not coming at this from a bitter blue perspective. The bloody Reds. It's more from intrigue. It's more just a thing of like, why of all the clubs you could support, like say when you see Birmingham Station being really busy and Leeds, like Leeds, you've got Leeds. Leeds are not exactly a small club by any stretch. They're not as big as Liverpool, not as successful as Liverpool, but they're still, it's a one club city. So surely you would yeah. That's where the intrigue comes into it. I
You
suppose.
leave Farsi Celtic alone, Matt. No, but I think by Matt's answer, we'll go. Well, why just support Everton?
Oh, exactly. And this is what I mean. When I see, there's podcasts I listen to, and there's like American Everton fans, and I think, of all the clubs you could pick, why the fuck would you pick us? Jesus Christ! But at least if you're willing to pick us, fair play. You're in the mud, but you're dedicated to it. No one follows us out of sheer joy. My God. So it was more seeing. I get the fact that there's a lot of Irish fans. That's quite common. You see a lot of Irish Liverpool fans, and that the connection is there to Liverpool and families and whatever else. But there was like two guys from Kent. And you're like, where's your?
I feel like, Matt, this is your year of the bird rant. No,
I can't even call it a rant. It's maybe it's a bit of a rant. I don't know. I was just. It was just
you've
really.
been a bit blue, lad. You've been a bit of blue.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to not take away. I'm trying to take away that mentality. It was more because it happens with. I'm using Liverpool as an example, but I'm aware that you got United's Arsenal. Shut up. You got United. You got your Arsenals. You've got even City to a certain extent. Is going to happen a lot more with that. I would love to hear the views of local Liverpool fans on what they think about it. And I've got a couple who I've asked, and they've all kind of said, the atmosphere at Anfield is an odd one because it's very much shifting from the real core group to, people that come from anywhere in the world and treat it like a day trip. But I don't have a go at those people because, we've been abroad and, we'd like to go and see Barcelona or go and see Madrid or one of the Milan teams. And is it different me going abroad to watch one of them because I know the importance of going to watch that team compared to someone coming over to watch my team, if I use Everton as an example, and treating it like a day trip? I don't know. Feel free to comment on that one, and feel free to message me and tell me I'm a bellend. If you want Reds fans, I'm happy to take it.
You are a bellend, man.
I am, to be fair, yeah. I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about yesterday when I saw the pictures. Is mainly the stations that I would not expect to be busy. Birmingham. I mean, I know Birmingham's a big terminus and a big connection through, which is just a bit sort of that's not like strange.
With the sort of the location of it, it's very central, isn't it? So you've got people coming from could be coming from London, coming from down from the southwest, like Bristol, Plymouth, wherever, and then
onwards from there. Yeah. Just me. I think it's just me and I'm probably projecting what feasibly could happen with Everton is that if everything starts to go right, which Christ, imagine if it did, there's a real possibility that you're going to have those types of fans coming along and taking up a ticket when I can't get one, and it's that sort of is it Warrior meme that I've won, but at what cost?
Yeah,
and I always wonder if that's what some fans feel like, that this is great that we're doing this, but have we lost a little bit what means more for Liverpool fans, if I use their marketing headline?
I've probably been guilty of going to another country to watch football, but not at like a Madrid or Barca level. Because I think me and my dad went to France once, and we watched. I can't think. We went to watch Sedan play, which was might have been the equivalent of League One at that point, and we watched Le Havre as well, which I think might have been League Deux at that point. But it was a number of years ago. But like I say, far from the glamour of the Bernabeu or the Nou Camp.
Yeah, but it's obvious you'll go into that team because it's just for a love of football. It's not because they are, in essence, a tourist attraction. Which I think let's face it, a lot of Premier League clubs are being, not just a select few of them. You could argue half of them are in that vein of, fans from anywhere around the world are coming, and it's the done thing to go and see this club, which we can't argue with because it's the reason the Premier League is what it is because of that globalization, which you mentioned earlier, Jim. I don't know. It was just something I thought I'd mention and just see what the reaction was. One of people going, "Yeah, you're bloody right. Why are the other?" Or something to go, "Yeah, it just is what it is. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I suppose that could just be they've moved away from the area and they're coming up to enjoy.
Exactly. It could be all kinds of reasons. I'm very much generalising, and I don't mean to generalise in the sense of put them all in the same category, but it was just very intriguing to see the locations that fans were coming from yesterday at all.
Clip that for a Grandpa Simpson man shakes fist at cloud. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, you're on about Liverpool fans coming from different directions and locations. Me and Jimmy know 2 Liverpool fans that are nowhere near from the northwest. Femi's from London. Jason's from Boston in Lincolnshire. So, and the why I asked Femi was, how come you're a Liverpool fan? He said, my dad's not even from this country, and I was like, right, okay, that's a fair enough. That's a fair enough.
Because again, as an example, there is no link to anything in the country
Yes.
to sort of say, well, you should support, I don't know, West Ham,
No,
as an example. That's just him going, they look good, I'll support them,
exactly.
that's fine. But yeah, it is. It's the ones where I think if you're born and you're very much live in this country, or if you've got, the generations go back and you've got family who live in, I don't know, I'll use Birmingham as an example, because Mark's looking at me in that area, where you've got like 4 or 5 teams you could pick out easily. Why would you then go for a team that's 120 miles away where it is that there's no real link? Yeah, it's strange.
Maybe that's something we ask people on Twitter in terms of one of my.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that in the moment. No, let's not get that involved.
I wouldn't do that now.
No. Well, what I was getting at is Shell's mate's husband. He's from Burnley, but he's a Tottenham fan, and I haven't even asked him why. I just accepted it for some bizarre reason. I was like, "Oh, okay, Tottenham," but I've never asked him how and why. So next time I see him, I will have to ask him, "How come you were born in Burnley but support Tottenham?" But yeah, it's interesting. I've never even thought of it in terms of if you're not from that area or you are from the area that does have a football club and you don't support them. I mean, yeah, I'll just have to ask him. But I don't know if any of you guys have any friends where you question, why do you support them even though you're not from that area? Yeah.
I work with a couple who are from, a lot of my office is based down south. There's a few of them who support Liverpool. And again, there's that sort of, and most of it is usually somewhat family. There's some kind of old family connection that goes back in there, some capacity. A lot of them are honest and sort of say, yeah, I watched that team in the 70s or the 80s. Or, God, I'm showing my age. The 05 Champions League winning team, and that was my connection to it. And I kind of go, okay, it's not the way I do it personally, but yeah, go for it.
So growing up in the sort of, going to school in like the 80s into the 90s, again, you had the sort of the Liverpool phase going into the Man United phase of success. So a lot of the kids that I knew at that point who weren't fans of local teams like your Albion, Wolves, Villa, Blues, Warsaw would gravitate towards either Liverpool or Man United. So it was they're doing well. Maybe they had no family affinity to any other club, or if their family did and that other club was doing crap, then it's like, actually, I don't want to get in that sinking ship. I'll just go on this one. But yeah, I don't know. It's each to their own, ultimately, isn't it?
The ones I never understand where the dad supports Everton and the rest of the family doing them. One kid supports Liverpool. That's weird.
I know one where he was a year above me at high school. Used to be a Man United fan and turned into a City fan. I was like, wow, you can't justify that one.
Does he follow? Does he follow football?
Yes, he pays to watch Man City, goes to watch them. Now and again goes to watch and Bury, but that's socially with my mates type of thing. But he pays regularly to go and watch Manchester City, even though people remember him to be wearing a Man United top years ago in high school. It's like, oh, wow. I can understand. I've known people who have supported and gone the other way and flipped it and gone, right, I've had enough of Man United, I've had enough of City, and they've gone watching Rochdale Bury or whatever. I know a few people that have done that and gone, I've had enough of it.
That I understand.
Yes.
Because then you want to get away from the monetization of the Premier League.
Absolutely.
You want to go to what is more, okay, it's still Football League, but it's still, you're paying 20 quid to get in, you're not paying 70 quid to get in.
Yeah.
You're still seeing a game of football.
I can understand.
That I completely understand. And there's time, I mean, I'm down the road from Bolton, Wigan isn't too far, Salford's down the road. They're 3 grounds that I should go to more often because it's a lot more
For Everton, you think glory on them.
You start that one.
What made you support them?
Gosh.
The shirt you're wearing, unfortunately, I'm a second one. I could have gone and supported Liverpool. I could have been celebrating league titles for all I know.
Oh. One of my mates, Alex, is a City fan, and he actually gets bored of watching them. And I said, how? And he said, I've got nothing to moan about. I went, in what regard? And he said, well, Hull City, I would be like, we're rubbish. We've got beat by Bradford, whatever. I've got something to moan about. Bump, bump, bump. He said, no. I said, really? Apart from this year. apart from this year, I've just moaned about yellow cards and offsides. It's like, oh, okay, that really does put things into context.
I would moan about the 115 financial service charges that
You could.
I would moan about that, not with me.
Yeah.
Potential that could be an issue.
Yeah. But we don't really want to go into that, do we, lad?
Oh, Everton could win like everything, and we still find something to moan about.
Oh God, yeah.
Evertonians can moan about the rest.
Proper football fans, and if you can find something to, you've won,
100%.
Bunch of league titles, cups, whatever, and it's like, but
Oh yeah. There's got to be.
Do it like this proud.
Yeah, we've got something similar with Leeds. I think it was I want to say 71, well before I was born. Look it up on YouTube. We're playing at Ellen Road. Ball gets played through to Tony Brown, and he's borderline. I would say onside. He squares it to Jeff Astle, scores. And I can't remember if it cost Leeds the league or it sent them down. It was one or the other. There's ramifications to it, and they've held that over us against us rather for coming up for 5 decades.
I
now.
like that. I like that. Phenomenal. There should be more of that.
That's phenomenal. Any pettiness? Got any long harboring pettiness or grudges at Rockdale?
Yes. Gosh, I'll keep it brief.
Club, surely.
Wolves away. Wolves away in the FA Cup 2003 when both goals were offside and knocked us out the FA Cup, and we could have got in the last 8. When we played, I didn't want Sheffield Wednesday. Didn't want Sheffield United to win the playoffs this year because when we played them in League One, they ripped up the away end and the advertising boards because they were annoyed that we'd beat them 2-0. So I just didn't want them to win the playoffs. I was like, well, no. Pettiness, who else is there? Hull City, there was something there, and I can't remember what it was. I just don't like Hull City. It'll come to me in a minute. They set the police tried to set the police dogs on the away fans. That's what it was for no reason at all in Hull. And it was like,
is that really Hull City's fault, or is that the whole police's fault?
Well, it happened at Hull City, so I don't like them.
That's all right then.
I don't like them.
Understandable.
Yeah. So Wolves are 1. Oh, sorry. There's more context to the Wolves 1. We missed the kickoff by 15 minutes because we were police escorted into Molineux, and they're only. This is Rochdale. It's not like Man United or Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Everton. I don't know why, but we missed the kickoff by 15 minutes. Already 1-0 down, I think. And
again, is that Wolves' fault or is that the police?
It's the police's fault, but it happened at Molineux. There's a pattern here.
So usually you have issues with the police force rather than the club itself.
I have a lot of issues with the Bobby. No, there's got to be somewhere else. I don't know if have you got any, Mark, where you think I can't stand this club because of something that's maybe the sandwiches were just not quite right or something like that. The pies.
Do working alongside people count as a reason?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, in that case, the Villa.
We work with them. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy I used to work with. I'm not going to mention names, but for anyone who knows, who's going to listen to this that I work with, they know exactly who I'm on about. He was the biggest gobshite in terms of. I mean, see, one of my best mates is a Villa fan, and we can have a conversation. We can talk sense. He'll give a little bit, I'll give a little bit back. It's all good. But this guy, he was next level.
Right.
Get in the bin.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to call him a certain word because I don't want to get cancelled.
Yeah, you're fine. I probably said it before, Mark. Don't worry about it.
No, we were on the way to work the once, and I got him great. On the local radio phone-in on BBC WM, they were on about what players from the other Midlands teams would you take at your club. He looked at me and said, would you have Grealish at the Albion? I was like, nah, mate, he's shit. But somehow I kept the straightest face ever. I mean, if I'd have had that face at the poker table in Vegas, I would have cleaned up.
Raking it in.
And he was like, yeah, you what? What are you saying, Grealish? Shit. Yeah, wouldn't have him, And he got proper wound up, but he gives it all the big but with no context or anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm guessing you watched the game on Sunday, saw the mistake of the referee and went, oh, no, both hands on the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'd actually switched it over at that point before the Villa goal happened because I was watching that one.
And the Forest game.
Yeah. And then I didn't see that till afterwards. I was like, Oh well, moving on.
On-
But as someone who used to play in goal a lot of the time myself, I was backing the keeper all day. Not for Emi Martinez's incident. He was just being a dick.
What was he doing? I have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, moving on.
But that's one interesting thing. That's what I think about. I came up in a discussion with someone a few weeks ago talking about butterfly moments in football where you have that the chain of events comes for it, and Martinez is the most obvious one where, isn't it? Mope injures Bert Leno, which means that Martinez has to play for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Does really well, gets in the World Cup squad for Argentina.
Oh,
2022.
like a butterfly effect.
They win the World Cup.
Yeah.
There's loads of those because I was thinking because there must be because you can never guarantee it the other way. You never know what could have happened, what might have happened.
Yeah.
But I can name you loads of those. What if this goal had stood or that player? Like I was thinking, Rooney at the 2004 Euros doesn't.
Oh wow.
We probably win that tournament because he was the best player in the tournament by a country mile.
Yeah,
There's
that's all the
loads of
Greece
those.
one, wasn't it?
So again,
I thought Greece won that one, and they know.
Yeah.
Well, that was mental.
I thought we got the winner. There's a striker.
Oh,
Iglesias, was it?
Carasteo.
What, got the winner?
Carasteo for the winner, didn't he?
What, for Greece?
Greece. Yeah, I love
Did he?
Carasteo.
I thought it was the Caristeas.
that.
you're quite muffled, Jim. So we can't quite hear you.
I had Eric Dyer, and when Eric Dyer played in Greece in the 2004 Euros, there's a mix. Missed that one. Sorry.
Something I saw today in terms of in a parallel sort of universe was I don't know how it pops. Well, yeah, no, I do know how it pops up. It was so basically the goal films. The goal films with Newcastle United.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
How? By the way, sorry,
go for it.
They cast a guy in that film who can't kick a ball. Watch him kick a ball. He kicks the ball in the most unnatural way I've ever seen in my entire life.
I saw this on.
Rewatch it.
God, I'm gonna have to go back and watch those highlights. I saw something on a Star Wars page on Facebook, but I'll get it. This does actually get to the point. Before that actor that you're talking about got the role, it was actually another actor. It was the guy who plays the lead role in Andor, Diego Luna.
Okay.
Star Wars Andor. Anyway, Diego Luna. They basically recorded a lot of the scenes already with this actor and somebody else, and then they had to completely rewrite it and recast everything. But somebody put it, and I thought it was photoshopped that this actor from Andor, Star Wars, in a Newcastle top in the goal film was like, that's a bit madness, and it's true. It was like, I don't know if that's the guy who plays the Andor. Has anybody watched Andor? No.
But I know the guys at Seismic Cinema will have seen that. Yeah,
so
they'd be all over that.
And Rogue One. He's in Rogue One, basically. I was like, no way, he's the guy from Rogue One. And how does it... In a parallel universe, like, bloody hell. Could you imagine if footballers in other films, like Vinnie Jones, were completely recast and it was like Paolo Di Canio or something in... what was it? Lockstock, was it? Vinnie Jones, Lockstock?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? I mean, no one's telling Vinnie Jones that, right, you're not in the film anymore. We're recasting it. John Hartson's got the role.
Canio might tell.
The cameo, that would be brilliant.
Could you imagine DiCanio in a gangster film? That would probably work in a parallel universe.
Canio's life is a gangster film.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not go too far to hit.
He I'm sure about just after COVID, I'm sure he did a concert, Paolo Di Canio, in like one of these festivals where he sung Dancing in the Moonlight.
It wasn't a rally, was it? No.
It may have been his own version of a rally, but I'll have to find this. There's a video of him, and I thought I was tripping when watching it. And he headlines a concert, and he's singing "Dancing in the Moonlight," dancing in the moonlight, and he's in a leather black jacket. And it's like, oh my god, this doesn't. How do you get to the point where we go, that'll do, Di Canio? Yeah, what's he up to these days? We'll put him on the headline act as. I'm gonna have to find it. Yeah.
Be very careful what you Google to find that, Greg.
Di Canio concerts. Really?
Yeah.
Maybe do that on private browser mode.
Okay. There's a story there.
Exactly. This is why people tune in the droves to listen to
All 7 of them.
Utter nonsense.
Well, let's face it, the Premier League was boring this season, so it's fine. Not in a bad way. It was just a nothing really interesting happened.
Everything was done and dusty quite early, wasn't it?
Yes.
And
Liverpool
ran over the league, and that was it.
Yeah. Bottom 3 went down. Well, bottom 3 would go down. Bottom 3
Oh, come on, Jim.
I was going to say,
Pretty
after
much
Greg's little Star Wars
deal.
segue, I was about to say, and next up on It's Only a Jedi, but, you know.
It's only a Jedi. Yeah. Which football would make the best Jedi? That's quite a good question.
Star Wars.
Oh,
There's definitely a pun in there somewhere.
James Milner.
So,
John Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Oh gosh! Wow!
so I was going to say Mourinho purely because of the mind tricks.
Oh wow! Yeah, he's the he'd make a very good villain in a film, Jose. Absolutely. I missed the first 15 minutes of recording. What was the topics there? What was the utter nonsense as usual?
And the Year of the Bird.
Year of the Bird.
Year of the Bird.
To realise
This
like
is
4 teams have won things with birds. Everyone else hasn't.
did what Walsall bottle the playoffs? Did they? Is that they were one of the birds?
Oh, we
would have been.
haven't gone into that.
We
They
haven't that far,
got
Greg.
bottled promotion. 14 points clear at one point.
Yeah.
They're that far ahead. I saw this table in January and they were like miles ahead.
That's absolutely they were.
What happened? Did
I'll
it just
tell you
fall away?
who's to blame for that. I'll tell you who's to blame for Walsall's bottling is Stoke.
Yes.
Stoke?
Nathan Lowe. Yes.
Yes. Was it Nathan Lowe who Walsall had on loan?
Yeah.
Bagging in goals.
They
for fun?
called him back in January.
Stoke
Lowe,
pulled a
yeah.
Leicester like they did with Harvey Barnes with us the one year, and it just went
No.
Wowzers.
hit the skids. So bollocks to you,
Never
Stoke.
fall in love
There
with
we go.
the loan player.
There's nothing
No.
on the shit list.
No.
As Mark with the test with Mason Holgate, never fall in love with a loan player.
No, and the ironic thing was when we had Holgate the first time round,
Was he just as bad
he
then?
wore the number 68. He was really good
Was
then.
he good then?
The
Was
first
he?
time,
Oh, that's
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to know.
He dropped a level, hadn't he? So, you know, found his. But yeah, got squad number 68. Everyone was like, oh, we've got to play number 68. We're going to win the cup like we did in 1968. Sorry, Evertonians.
Yeah,
I'm not.
We're not bitter. We're not bitter.
We're over it.
And then it was like, no, we didn't. I think we got to maybe it was the quarters, possibly. We didn't win it ultimately, but
Did
you know,
well.
everyone picks up on little things like that, and it's just, no, don't get your hopes up. And that's just been an Albion fan in general. Don't get your hopes up.
It's a not character building. What do they call it? They call it.
Yeah, character
Is
building.
it character building? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
That sums up our season as well.
Say, Greg, speaking of character building,
I'm going to say, yeah, Greg, how did your season go?
how did Southend get on?
Yes, okay, we'll go into that therapy
Haven't got to. I'd
for the
like
next
to,
5
but
minutes.
not.
But yeah, no, it's fine. 3-1 up and then lose 4-3 is incredible. Like I don't know how is that even possible. But the thing is, he's
Basically, Greg, the other team scores 3 goals in about 15 minutes. It's quite easily
just
done.
speechless, really. Like, how could you be 3-1 up and cock it up, basically? But the thing is, all the Dale fans, not all the Dale fans, a lot of the Dale fans are like, yeah, we need to get rid of him. He's not getting sacked when you finish 4th. Like, no, nobody. In the real world of football, when it comes, you know, no one's getting sacked for finishing 4th, apart from maybe if you're the Chelsea manager. Do you know what I mean? Where you're getting sacked by winning the league at Chelsea, aren't you? Probably. But yeah, a lot of Dale fans are like, oh, he needs to go now because that's 3 times this season that he's bottled it. And I may have been one of those, and I slept on it for a week, and I thought, actually, he's not getting sacked because we finished 4th. So it was the FA Cup game at home. We got beat in the last. There was like 8 minutes added, and they scored 2 or something. And then it happened in the FA Trophy where they beat us. Spennymoor beat us on penalties. That was ridiculous. And then it happened again in the playoffs where not right at the death. We cocked it up. We were winning 3-1. So it's basically there's like a theme of just cocking up 3 major games in the lead, basically, or something like that. And he just tinkers too much with the tactics and the substitutions. Like at 3-1, he just took off like 4 of the best players, and I was like, oh, that's bold. Like, okay. Apart from Hendo, and then he brought Hendo on, and then we conceded 3 goals. It's like, you can't make it up. And it's like, yeah. But then he comes out with a statement that, oh, we're not ready for League 2, actually, and Southend are more equipped for League 2. And it's like, bollocks. Like, if we'd have got promoted, you're not going to be saying, actually, we're not ready for this league. So,
Well, he might do.
I mean, he did, but
Oh, he did.
he
Back me or sack me?
back me or sack me. Yeah.
So for the guy who's not going to be sacked, might get sacked.
Yeah. I mean, it pains me to say this, but fair play to Oldham. I didn't think they'd get past York, was it, Jim? Is that right?
They
absolutely
hammered York.
battered them. I was like, I had to look again on my app. I was like, no, and there's like, what?
Mickey Mellon loves the Napoli.
Mickey Mellon's he does
loved
he
it.
loves the playoffs. Mickey Mellon.
Have I read something, by the way, about that final and the capacity of Wembley? Have I been reading something this week about how they've limited it to
Yes,
40 odd
Really?
thousand?
Yes,
I wanna
they've-
say,
That's about
Greg?
40,
I'm sure-
45,000,
yeah,
isn't it? It's down
yeah.
to.
And
They could both bring way more.
It's a
than that.
safety or it's something to do with the policing
There's
it,
some
or the
works going on around Wembley or something.
Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Like, okay.
But
Okay.
apparently, there's a load of Southend fans are all buying tickets at the Oldham end because Oldham haven't sold in North,
I've seen this as well.
which is just going to cause
Issues.
Going to be a problem.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's something to do with the yeah, it's to do with
Allocation.
works, isn't it? That's right. There's works around Wembley, so they couldn't justify putting on. I don't know how many they would have feasibly sold, but the full 90,000 wasn't ever an option. But I think it's up to about 47.5, which, to be fair, for a National League final is bloody massive. But you would have thought they could still probably have sold more.
it's two ex-EFL teams that you would think, given the opportunity. Oldham definitely have never played at the new Wembley, so it's definitely a box tick for them. I think I'm pretty sure they've played at the old Wembley, but not the new Wembley. So you would have thought they would be going in their
Well,
droves.
didn't they when they were in the Premier League? So
Pardon?
they got to a cup final when they were in the Premier League.
Yes,
So
yes.
they did.
But it's the I thought the pull of the new Wembley may have been a thing for Oldham fans, but not too sure
when
about
is it,
Southend.
final?
Not sure.
Did
1st
you
of
say
June.
Fletcher?
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1st of June.
Yeah.
So what's that? Then the Champions League final.
Gosh,
We're back
that's
about that.
gosh, yeah, that'll be something. My gut's telling me Oldham are going to do it. I think they'll batter them. I think they'll absolutely batter Southend. Southend got through on penalties. Is that right, Jim?
They snuck past
Forest Green.
Forest Green, wasn't it?
And
Yeah, penalties.
those two, I mean, arguably, obviously, you can say York were the strongest team and Forest Green because they both got byes in the playoffs. They didn't have to play two games like Southend or Oldham, and they finished higher, and I think they went on better runs as well. Obviously, in the
York had mental like 96 points, didn't they? And came second behind Barnet.
Yeah,
York
it
were
was-
flying at one point,
Insane. They were like 30 points ahead of Southend or something stupid.
But-
it's like ridiculous. But
But
second place
is that
still
something to look at
automatically.
now, where the fact that only one goes up automatically, does that need looking at?
yeah,
All over social media now.
It's-
It's been going for a few years.
So York 96 points and
Yeah.
couldn't even get. I mean, I know the playoffs are a playoff
Yeah.
for that pure reason. You get those things, the teams that. I mean, look at Championship. Sunderland finished what, fifth,
About 15
sixth?
fifth.
They're
They've got
way
15
behind Sheffield
points,
United.
Got Sheffield United, yes, Mark.
Yeah, it was fifth, yeah, because Bristol City finished sixth. And
Yeah,
they had
Coventry
Sheffield
finished.
United,
Yeah,
fourth, yeah.
but yeah, it's not. I don't know about League 1 and 2. If the team that finished in the first, Wimbledon finished fifth. maybe
Oriel
not.
came sixth. And Stockport third.
Wickham,
So, yeah, Charlton fourth.
And Charlton finished
Charlton fourth.
Yeah.
Yep, Charlton fourth, Wickham fifth, Leyton Orient sixth. Bloody hell! Also, Reading weren't that far away in the end.
They were really close. I think,
Right.
Considering everything they've been through, they were really close.
Gosh, that's
New owners now. They've
oh,
stopped here.
absolutely. So you've got so Birmingham, obviously, Mark. You've got the Birmingham game back, obviously with West Brom. Blimey, I just realised.
Yes.
You must be delighted, Mark, to have
Yeesh.
them back in the league, having the season they've had, and the money behind them, and all of that Tom Brady nonsense.
Yeah, well, they'll be joining the NFL next season anyway, so I'm not overly concerned. Unless they take 6 points off us.
It was just
Birmingham.
Their all-star quarterback.
last few games. I was texting you, Mark, about West Brom, and I thought they could. It was just a shame that it's 68 got in the playoffs, and you were on 64.
Yeah, we tailed off. And
It's
yeah, I was saying to the lads earlier that it was draws and injuries are what cost us ultimately. But we've been down that path already. I don't need to revisit it.
yeah. Blackburn 66. Bloody hell.
Speaking of keeping goals out, sorry, just to go back to it. Obviously, we'd got Alex Palmer left for Ipswich in the January window. Again, didn't begrudge him going. Thought he was a great keeper for us. He deserved his chance in the top flight. We'll be seeing him next season. So welcome back to the Hawthorns, Alex. Joe Wildsmith, we got him on the reputation of being a Golden Glove winner with Derby the season before. He just looked a little bit ropey. Not as ropey as David Button was previously. He was just I'd have put my dog in goal. I just should have saved more. But when we brought Josh Griffiths in, he looked a bit more secure. We'd seen him play when Palmer got injured. He did his knee a couple of seasons ago. Griffiths come in, looked quite steady for a young lad. I know he's had spells out on loan, but I think this is all ifs, buts, and maybes, obviously. And we go back on an Albion tangent, so we'll bring it back in a sec. If Griffiths had gone in goal instead of Wildsmith, could it have been different? Probably, but I don't know. This is Albion we're talking about, so.
But if they're just not clicking, they can. I mean,
definitely.
Family of the season in League Two had a lot of experience, League Two experience. Had an absolutely shocking season until the last few games under Andy Crosby.
Yeah.
Look at United.
Unbelievable.
They've got. They're absolutely dog shit. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Wrexham coming up?
It's an interesting one, definitely. I can't see them getting promotion again.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
I think what they've got to look at is stabilise. Consolidate in what is one of the most competitive divisions, definitely across Europe, if not the world.
Most competitive at times.
And I've said that for many seasons. You got anybody can literally beat anybody, whereas the Prem, you've got this clump of teams will beat everybody else. These few, they might have a go. These few, it's anyone's guess. But no, I think if you gave a mid-table now, they would snap your hand off.
Yes, I agree.
Comfortable sort of anything, say 12th to 14th. Not be involved in a relegation scrap.
I think if they do go up, they potentially can go in the same route as Luton did technically 2 seasons ago, where they went up and it was almost like oh crap. We're in the Premier League a bit sooner than we would have liked to maybe have been, because the ground wasn't ready for Premier League football. The squad wasn't, and they spent big, and they've regressed back the other way now. They've now been relegated.
Yeah, I think what their best option would be is probably follow the Jeremy Peace model of transfers, as in loans and freebies.
Yeah,
it worked for us in the top flight for a number of years. The likes of the midfield combination of Malumbu and Jakob. If we've ever had a nastier midfield pairing than those two, I've never seen it, because I wouldn't fancy going up face to face to either, let alone both of them on the pitch.
No.
Yeah, I think he's technically known as a nasty bastard. Yeah, probably really sound off the pitch, but you step across that line, it's game over.
Not that I played against him personally, but you know what I mean? It was horrible, but, not like I personally all the pitchings in it, but you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, you were in for a game when he was on your side.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wish you had him though, one of those players.
Oh yeah. He's like, you have your own. It sounds really weird. You have your own bastards sometimes, don't you? Nasty bastards. There was it's like there was one for Bury, and like, oh, I'd love to have him. And then we signed him, and went, oh, fucking brilliant. And it was Stephen Dawson, and he was just an absolute kamikaze player. And he'd just like break everyone's leg and break his own leg. And I think, oh, I'd love a player like that. And we only had him for 1 year. Ironically, he got injured halfway through the
Everyone's
season.
Got a player that everyone else hates, but you love because everyone hates it. I think when Everton had Charlison, one of those players that whined everyone else, going over easy. But
Richarlison in that Europa final, when there was a foul given I think someone was pulling at his shirt and it didn't get given straight away, and he was like, ref. It was like that little, that little toddler. You've got that younger sibling. I know there's 2 of them here, but there's one of them going to the guy, Dad, they did that, and it's like, shut up, you
get on with
it.
Yeah, one of those. I can understand why people don't like him, but when he played for us, proper cult hero, and weirdly one of the few players who, there's talks about him coming back, but I think he broke his body to keep us in the Premier League, and has never been quite the same since. Bless him.
The appeal of the new stadium, would that be something for him to be?
I wouldn't want him back.
Looking at?
Not in a bad way. I just think.
Would you not?
Injury wise, he's not got a great record injury in the past couple of years.
Right.
And I think it's you could be looking for it's looking backwards when they should be looking forwards.
I can understand that.
I don't think he brings enough to that squad that's like the next level. I think he just comes in and just does what he is kind of doing for Spurs, which is not a huge amount. But
is that Everton are the most sentimental football club in the world, it seems.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Hang on to whatever our history is. We've done fuck all for 30 years.
We do it very well. We're the best at it.
Very
Yeah.
much. Because obviously leaving Goodison was a big sentimental thing, but then it was like, oh, right. And then it's like, right, we're going to look forward now. Right, okay. Who's the manager? David Moyes.
We're bringing back, yeah, get the band back together.
Yeah.
I mean, it did go shit. I mean, I watched back the end of Goodison thing they did with after the last game,
Behind the scenes thing.
and it was quite funny where you had that team of, well, it wasn't really a select amount of players, but players from a certain, so you had like Joe Royal and whatever else. Then you had the team of the 80s with Andy Gray and Peter Reid and all these players that won something. And then it kind of gets to the FA Cup team in 95 where it's like, okay, we can celebrate this. And then it just became a clusterfuck of who the hell they could just get.
And then Francis
From-
Jefferson appeared.
Yeah,
I
Frank
saw that.
Jefferson and Umar Niasse. And I was like, why are you
was
here?
Umar there?
A player famously known for basically being banished from the changing rooms by Ronald Koeman because he was crap, came back and saved him for a couple of games and in fact off to Hull, was it? I think didn't play for Everton.
God.
There was a group of players with that Moyes squad which had Baines,
Jagielka.
Cahill, Coleman.
Yeah.
Those group of players. Yeah, okay, fine. They didn't win anything, but you can understand, that group being celebrated in a weird way.
They were best the rap at me for a time.
Yeah.
So
But there was some players I'm like, why? Like, why are you here? Like, who gave? Where were you?
Must have bought a ticket, Matt.
yeah.
There were some interesting names in that list, and some. I mean, they did. It got cancelled in the end, I think, but they did do. It's like an event over the last season. There were 2 they put on. I don't know if they ever went ahead, but they advertised them. And it was a night at Goodison with one of them, I think, was Heroes of the 80s, so it was your Peter Rees and that kind of stuff. And the second one was Cult Heroes, which is a very dangerous game to run because the names they announced were cult. Definitely, my God. You have to give me a hand here, Jim, because I forget something. I want to say
I've forgotten this.
I want to say I think Royston Drenthe was going. Again, a player famous for scoring. Royston Drenthe was famous for 2 things at Everton. One of them was scoring about 3 30-yarders, some great goals.
Unbelievable when he's on it.
The second one was allegedly.
The day before the semi-final at Wembley.
No, this is true. I can say this for true because this is true. Yeah, he broke into Finch Farm as a training ground with a select group of women. We will put it that way.
Okay.
Which then meant he missed the FA Cup semi-final, which we famously lost against Liverpool in the 92nd minute. It was. And yeah, not saying again, if he'd have played, we'd have won it, but we've had a better chance of winning.
We have to play like James Wallace or someone in midfield.
Yeah, we had a youngster in there, whatever else. What other names were in there? I'd have to have a look.
Andy van der Meijden.
Jelovic, is he called?
Yeah, Jelovic was there. Which again, he is kind of a cult hero to a certain extent. He had a good 6-month period, and that was about it. I forget.
Gravison.
Charging like Gravison again, yeah, fair enough. But they were charging like 90 quid a ticket for this, and you're going, no one's paying.
I'm going to absolutely. What's he called? This guy? Amakachi? Daniel
Amakachi was the other one, yeah.
Right.
So again, you could put in that bracket because of the
semi-final in '95, so
against Spurs. But yeah, Trent, I'm
hoping not Giddy Arkley left enough. That'd be a bit hard to pronounce.
I know, yeah. Probably not.
Remember when we signed him? It was like, just call it Billy.
Call it Billy.
All the kids want his name on the shirts. It's like, Billy?
Oh, gosh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So they're about 90 quid a ticket. It's 90 points in Scrabble, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a real sort of, there's a whole other podcast on the last season of Goodison because it's been hilarious in certain aspects. The fact that they've won 5 home games.
Is that
5 home games?
Really?
5 home games. What a send-off.
Gosh.
Thrown away 3 2-goal leads in that. One of them we lost, the other 2 we drew against Ipswich and Man United. Bournemouth was the famous one.
Bournemouth game was the angriest that was all season.
Oh my God.
With 4 minutes to go.
I must have been out and about and it must have just popped up at 2-1. It was like, well, lads, don't mess up 2-2.
Well, this is it. Right, it's like, it happens with us. You get to 2-1, you go, oh no. As soon as they get 1, they could get 2 or 3.
Absolutely panicked at 2-1. They conceded at 2-1 and they just fell apart. It was very much, it was very much a Dyche thing. I'm not blaming Dyche purely for that, but it was that sort of everything that was wrong with Dice was in captures. We're kind of within that 10 minutes where they just fell apart. I
It's
mean,
indicative, but we went to Villa this weekend, didn't we? We went
Yeah,
to
and
Villa,
did it
and
again.
you and I were saying we'll lose this too.
yeah, we did.
And we did.
John
John
Durant's got an
Durant scored an
absolute
absolute worldie. It was
screamer.
like,
Gosh.
But yeah, you could say, I mean, it's been a strange season, for lack of a
it's
better
been
word.
a bit crap on it, really. When you, I mean, the second half
Yeah,
was okay, but
I
it's been
mean,
a bit crap, really.
The issue they had is the fact the ownership wasn't sorted until, what was that, December? Was that sorted? So you had a sort of a 5-month period where you couldn't really enjoy it because the team on the pitch wasn't playing particularly well. There was a lot of issues off the pitch of just not knowing who's going to take us over. And as soon as that happened, and then as soon as Moyes came in, what was it, just after Peterborough, wasn't it? The Cup.
Pretty much January, yeah.
January.
Yeah, because that's right, because Dyche left on the day of the Cup game, which was, again, hilarious. So he's in the programme notes, like, welcome on. He's not even in the dugout. It's Baines, wasn't it? Was that Baines and Coleman, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then I did read a stat the other day, we just stayed up by 6 points purely on the points that Moyes won alone. We'd have still stayed up by 6 points, which is just shows the quality. Well, there was a point where I forget which game it was, but it was from Moyes joining. So I want to say it was something like Man United at home. It was some point in April, maybe April, can't remember, where we would have still been where we were if Moyes hadn't gained a point.
Oh,
in
yeah.
something
Oh,
like
yeah, we were
10
17th, weren't we?
games.
Or something, yeah.
It was ridiculous. And some, I mean,
Wow.
it just shows the
Think
level of
that's-
the bottom three.
Yeah. Here's how poor bottom three is, and we're not. I don't think we're going to have a poor bottom three next season. As bad, I don't think there's any way.
It's an intriguing three that coming up. Sunderland, I think, will struggle
I think so.
because just of, again, in that similar to kind of a Luton territory. I'm not saying they're quite the same, but a team that is like, are you ready for Premier League
Yeah,
football?
got
Are you
some
gonna win?
players that were League One, weren't they, with them? The League 09 of the world, and
Yeah.
guys like that.
Burnley and Leeds are the two that are interesting. Burnley, because they've got a very good defence. That might just keep them up. Because the other three teams that have come up, they've been relegated this season. I mean, Southampton are famously for conceding 8,000 goals, it feels like, this season. And it's the same for the three teams of the season before, famously just not defend. And if you can get that
United.
side of it sorted, you might be able to nick the odd 1-0 at home and things like that. Leeds are the one that are really interesting because they're going to have the dough to spend. If they spend
got
it
money.
well,
They've got Red Bull 49ers behind them.
if they spend it well, the only problem I have with that is I don't know who is in that 17th above who would drop down.
Man United.
Yeah, beat me to it. The part of me would love it to be Man United. United or Spurs dropping down would be hilarious.
It would be funny.
Hilarious.
It would be
So
quite funny. Because I can't see who drops down from that 17th and upwards into that relegation battle. But it's going to be us.
There are.
It's going to be us. Calling it. It's fine.
Interesting one will be Palace as well, I think.
Oh, sorry.
See how they cope with juggling League and Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday, Sundays, that kind of stuff.
I've got nothing against them, but I mean, it's the first time they've got into a European competition, so they've got to juggle. The midweek. I think it might be Thursday night when in the Conference League they've got, or is it Europa?
Europe.
Yeah. So still Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So that, and then playing again on the Sunday, and then
What
They haven't got a
I mean, I hope they do well. In all fairness, they deserve.
Oh yeah,
with the Europa, with the Europa, you get more league phase games. You get 8 league phase games as opposed to 6 in the Conference League. So there's more Thursday, Sundays than if they were in the Conference League.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But then you skip a phase if you finish top 8.
Yeah, so the top 8 go straight into the round of 16.
Yeah.
9th
And then
to
it's the next
24th
16
go
that
to
play
knockout.
off.
Yeah, the 60, the 9 to 24 place teams.
Yeah, and then it's seeded, isn't it? I think.
I was going to say, it's European competition. What are we talking about it for?
I know, yeah, like we're involved.
I mean, we've played Newport. That's it's a different country technically.
Like
But
Wrexham next season, Mark.
Wrexham, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And Swansea.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so
Tour?
2 trips
That's what
across
it
the
is.
board. I mean,
It's European Tour. There you go.
yeah.
Flags
Does
up.
playing as Dumbarton on Football Manager count as well?
I'd say so.
In that case, yes, God damn it.
Absolutely. Dumbarton, Wrexham, and Swansea. That's the European Tour to savour.
Absolutely.
It's the one we all dream of.
That's the group of death. That is.
Just going back a few steps back to Premier League sides, and match of the day next season will be different, won't it? Without Gary Lineker, I think that's a shame, really. I think he's. I don't know. I know to me, he fights for the good fight, doesn't he? And it's.
So I didn't see the comment or read it that he was meant to have made. So I don't really want to draw into that side of it.
He shared Instagram story, I want to say it was, which essentially inadvertently had a picture of a rat on it, which is commonly known to be anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
He said, I mean, I agree with him. I understand he's definitely, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
1,000% it's a mistake. He's done it. He's not meant to
Genuine
do it. But in this day and age, that kind of thing happens.
I think you've only got to put something on for a few seconds and someone's shared it, screenshot it, whatever. You're in the shit, really, aren't you? Especially when it's something as significant as, a potential religious slur.
One of the best played people in BBC.
It's a shame.
Comes with its attention.
Yeah,
it's a shame. It's
I mean, the three that are taken over was Gabby Logan, Mark Chapman, and Kelly.
Yes,
I think are in. Three good hands.
It's in safe hands, isn't it?
It's not
fair to say.
Three very good presenters. Gabby Logan, when you watch her on Prime doing her stuff, is
brilliant. She's absolutely fantastic.
Kelly Cates on Sky is great, and Mark Chapman speaks himself. So,
thank you for listening to part 1 of the end of season episode for the It's Only a Game podcast. We had a few technical difficulties, unfortunately, with some of the audio, so I've tried to salvage quite a bit of it there. So really sorry about the quality of the audio. Thank you very much for listening. Part 2 will be with us next week. If you'd like to follow us on any of the social media platforms, we're on Facebook, Instagram, X. We're also on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. It's Only a Game podcast. So thank you very much for listening. Subscribe if you like, or leave a review. We just do this as a hobby, basically. We don't really do it for anything else, and a bit of a catch-up between mates. And whether you're in the playoffs, whether it's your pre-season, whether on the beach, whether you're on a plane, please remember, it is only a game. Thank you.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.